what we're going to talk about here is just sort of how the industry standards are basically, and are they failing, are they successful, what are we going to do? And joining us for this discussion is singer, voice teacher, and producer, Miss Natalia Dopwell. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
And also a performing veteran.
Well,
with experience.
I do have the grey hairs to qualify me for that.
I'm not too far behind, don't worry. I'm not too far behind. Although I think men kind of get it easier with the grey. Unfairly
you just
so.
become like distinguished or something.
Yeah. I get to act more entitled and pompous than even before.
So, Natalia, you've performed. You've had this career, as you said, veteran. You've had this career of performing in different organizations, different professional spaces, at least maybe most likely on every stage in Trinidad and Tobago, and across the region and across the world as well. And you have this sort of this experience not just here but internationally as well. What are some of the things? I'm just going to come right over the question. Are our industry standards sort of failing, and do we have more industry standards that are failing rather than more than that are pretty much successful, given the conversation around, this whole, the festival that happened and, dropping out of artists and how we deal with crisis management? Because I feel like, for me personally, I feel like, yes, I'm working towards my craft to perform well on stage, but I feel like I'm always in defense mode of trying to avoid crisis and trying to avoid risk all of the time. And that could be that could just cause a whole lot of anxiety. But what are your thoughts on our industry standards and how can we, and we'll get to how can we improve them?
Yeah, I think first we need to acknowledge that there is definitely space for amateur performance. There's definitely space for people who wish to actually grow to professional standards while having a job elsewhere to pay bills. We also have, small, say, local productions that do not require professional, how should I put it? Professional management.
Like all the bells and whistles.
All the bells and whistles, because you can hire capable people to do the lights for you. You can hire capable people who will do your stage management. And then all you have to do is show up and sing your heart out. And that exists for a reason, because it is good to have that sort of community theater level music happening, right? So we have the Best Village, we have the choirs, we have people that can literally just show up somewhere, play the instrument, and all of the technical aspects are supervised by capable professionals. That exists for a reason. And I do think, though, what we lose in the Caribbean is any sense of specialization. Okay. And by that, I mean, like, a lot of people feel that they need to be a one-stop shop for everything. Okay? So I would say, like, in my case, I recognized early on that I was capable of doing a lot of things, but I actually only enjoyed doing some of them. Right. And so as I've sort of gotten into this sort of, I would call it like a mature era of my... let's just call it, I'm at a mature era in my...
They have rock stars touring in the 80s. Yeah, that old.
Well, when I say mature, I'm saying I'm just taking ownership of the things I will say no to.
Right.
Okay.
Intentionally.
So mature not in terms of age, but your perspective.
I'm using it as a absolute, like, beneficial, positive statement.
I get to curate what I say yes, I
can curate what I do, what I choose to put my energy into, and at this point as well, the things that I do not actually want to engage with. I have loads of students who I can recommend for opportunities that I no longer want.
Yes.
Okay? And so this means scaling back on things that maybe some people might miss. It means people going, oh gosh, I don't see you doing X, Y, Z anymore. Right? And this is intentional because it means that I get to spend my time doing the things that I actually do enjoy and that I actually want to specialize in and spend more time in. So it means that I perform less, but when I do perform, I feel like it has a greater impact, as well as I personally feel fulfilled as a professional.
And it's good that because you said, it's not just a matter of, I don't want to do this, let me just give it to any student. You're also giving the student is at that stage in their life, in their career, where they sort of need
that space.
So you're giving them that space as well.
And so I have to withdraw myself from this space.
That takes a lot of self-awareness that a lot of people don't have.
Well,
but I
not
like
just that.
that.
When you say that part of being a professional is, look, one, can I commit fully to this project, right? And if I can't, should I? And to have that level of motivation, best foot forward kind of scenario. But then there's also the fact that, look, I also need to understand that as you get older and there's more demands on your time, even if you want to commit to some projects, maybe it just doesn't fit into your schedule. And when you're younger, you can kind of jerry-rig it and shoehorn it in. But you can't give your 100%, especially with a vocalist. Health is very important for a vocalist.
Yes, and mental stability, all of these things. You have to have that time to rest and recover. And on top of that, you have to learn to filter the advice you will receive from your community, okay? And what I mean by that is I very often, after shows, I get a chorus of very excited suggestions of things I should be doing, okay? And I, as a professional now, am much better able to filter that enthusiasm and divert it towards things that I think are more worth my time, right? So let's say someone says, Natalia, it would be so wonderful if you did a performance with Josh Groban. You've got to bring him to Trinidad.
Okay, yeah, that's a little bit,
Right, and this is not to say that that is actually a request I have had, but I'm also not saying that that's not a request I have had, okay? It's that I need to know, and I need to be aware of what it takes to bring in an international professional, which I have in the past.
Right.
I have brought in international professionals in the past, but what I have not done is bring in international people in the past who have management. Okay? So I have always negotiated with people that I have met as individuals and who are wonderful performers who nobody knows the name of, So one of the people that I brought in the past is Diego Godoy Gutierrez, who is right now singing all over Europe and doing a fantastic job. He's appeared with some really big names. He's doing fantastic. I've also brought, and he was a Chilean that I met when I was in Peru, okay? I also brought a pianist from Poland, who I met in Peru. I brought a wonderful mezzo-soprano that I knew in England, when I was at school, in New York. And she came down and she sang in an opera with us. I brought down people from Canada. I brought in Ronald Sams, come back to do concerts with us. And so these are people that I have a personal connection with.
Yes.
I did not have to negotiate with management to bring them down here. And because they understand who I am and what I was trying to do with the Pico Platt Foundation, a lot of them accepted a lot less than maybe they typically would accept, mostly because they were excited to come to a place that they'd never been before. And I make sure that they're comfortable while they're here and they have a little stipend money. And at the end of the concert, a couple times, I will be very honest about this, a couple times the shows did not make enough money. And because I had a personal relationship with them, I was able to negotiate a smaller fee.
Right.
Okay? This is if you stay in your lane and if you recognize the level that you're at.
Right. Okay.
And you make personal connections with people who are able to get on your bandwagon and try to help out. So they would do master classes while they were here. They, I did concerts of Caribbean music written by a Caribbean composer and stuff. These are all things that I feel very strongly about, that we should be doing more of our own music, actually composing it for performance on stages around the world. And so we got that done. We commissioned that from a Trinidadian who is based in England. And so that since then has been, arranged for orchestra in different places. All of these things happen not by accident, not, just out of left field. I don't just pick up the phone and randomly cold call somebody who has, who has a #1 hit right now on the radio
Right.
and say, yeah, whatever he need, I will make all that back in sponsorship, man. Yes. Okay, and yes, sometimes, organizing US dollars is tricky, even at the level. I'm nowhere near, I've never operated at the level anywhere near. I have not smelt that kind of funding.
That's enough to make,
yes,
to make the
but at the same time, I am comfortable at the level I am at. I'm not worried about losing my house if I cannot afford to pay an RTC.